you talking about? What an intro. Welcome, everybody, to Habs Tonight. We are live in living color, broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wherever this broadcast will take you. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing my partner right down on the bottom of the screen, Mr. Daleweise. Dale, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, thank you for that intro. I am just fired up tonight, guys. Let me tell you. I feel like I was coming out of the gates of the Bell Center there with that intro. I am pumped. All the fans, I can see all the comments. We're gonna have a great time here, guys. I'm excited.
It's good. Hey, we didn't have the DX music, so we'll get into that story after. There you go, the little DX music there. Also joined with us is producer James Black. James, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. What a beautiful night. I can't believe we finally made it here after all the hard work. Habs tonight. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Yeah, I know. No, I appreciate that. And just to give a couple of shout outs right off the bat to thank a few people before we get started. Very important to us. Obviously, our better halves are the most important people in the world for each one of us. But to Brandon Legacy, to Shara, his beautiful wife, Andrew Thompson, also known as Drew Dinks, James, of course, Annick Lemaire. I know I probably butchered that last name, but she knows that I'm very grateful, and Dale and I are both very happy for all the hard work that everybody's been doing. And on Habs tonight, what we're going to be doing is not just talking Habs. We're going to be talking everything hockey related and other stuff. It's going to be a really fun conversation. Dale has promised, and he will get into this, he's going to be opening that locker room, the forbidden fruit of the locker room door. You're going to get a peek inside, and not just a peek. You're going to know the true story about what actually happens behind the scenes in the National Hockey League, with teams like the Montreal Canadiens, Philadelphia Flyers, some of the biggest teams in this league that Dale has played for, and he's got a lot of stories and a lot of friends. We're going to have a great time. This show is fully interactive. If you have a comment, a super chat, make sure you post it. If you're on Facebook watching, share this video, share everything that we're doing. If you would like to get on the show at any given moment, if you want to be a part of the show, interact with Dale live with video or without video, email us. The email is habstonight@gmail.com. And in the subjects, all you have to write in is want to be on the show. And then we'll get you on live on the program, and you'll participate in our conversation, which will be really, really great. And we got a couple of surprises for tonight as well, which is going to be a lot of fun. So Dale, why don't you tell everybody what happened today? Because I find it fascinating and funny on the first time we're about to do a show. It's like Murphy's Law. Tell everybody what happened.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good sign or how to take it, guys. But I'm sitting at my house. I don't know if all of you guys follow me on Instagram or you know my story, but I've been living at the lake since the end of the plans, so end of August. I've been living at the lake. I have Wi-Fi out there. I've never had an issue. And sure enough, today my wife looks at me at 4:00 and says, "Oh, geez." I don't think the Wi-Fi is working. And I thought she was kind of screwing around with me. I thought it was a joke. And sure enough, I grab my phone and it's not working, and I start panicking. Obviously, me and the guys have put in a ton of effort to get this launched tonight. And the first time my Wi-Fi breaks down. So I immediately packed up all my gear. I hopped in my car and I drove an hour and a half, and I'm in my mom and dad's basement. I wish I could take credit for all the shrine my dad has in the basement, but the background worked out good. So, tell me in the comments what you guys think. Maybe I should, turn this into my new background, because I'm enjoying it.
That's pretty epic. Is that the Winter Classic jersey in the back, the white one?
Yeah, it is. That one's probably my favorite. That's actually the game-worn one. I wore it for about a period and a half before I broke my finger, but that was one of my favorite games. So actually, my boy PK hit me with a slap shot and broke my finger. So, good thing we were buddies, or else that could have went the wrong way.
I had actually no idea. So if I recall, that was a season where I think Carey was hurt.
Yes.
And who was it Tatarski who was leading you guys in, or was it
Mike Condon? Mike Condon actually came in and he took over there, and really cool guy. I really enjoyed Condo. And you're playing in Montreal, you're trying to fill the shoes of Carey Price, which, obviously he cast a pretty big shadow. So he was fighting an uphill battle, but I thought he did a heck of a job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember that game. I think Galley got a goal in that game, if I recall. Beautiful jerseys, beautiful atmosphere. That was Montreal versus Boston. It was it was a highlight of a broken season.
Yo, for sure. That was kind of in the point where we got off to a great start. Whatever it was, I think we were 9-0-1, and then we had, we kind of went downhill a little bit, and then we turned the page on the calendar. We were kind of using that as a launching pad for us. We go out, we beat a really, really good Boston team. But unfortunately, it never really turned the ship around, and things kind of went downhill a lot more from there.
Yeah. So why don't we tell everybody, and James too, I mean, you can jump in anytime. Why don't we tell everybody, the premise of what we're doing with Habs tonight, because we're not obviously a traditional radio show. We're not going to live and die by that kind of means. We're more of here's one topic. We're all going to have an organic conversation. The fans of the show are really the reason the show is going to be successful, right? So you can add to that as much as you want. I mean,
Yeah, you know what? I think for me, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I was a guy that would get shredded in the media, whether it was my time in Vancouver, obviously not so much in Montreal, but Philly. I had a really, really rough 3.5 years there. And I was a guy that would continuously just be getting ripped in any kind of social media, the reporters coming in the room. And it was something to me that always bothered me. I always wanted media to be a different kind of outlet where, you can tell a story, but you can do it in a positive way. And even when you are critiquing someone, you can give a backstory to why you are critiquing someone instead of just telling them, wow, this guy was awful tonight. He was terrible. I never saw the view of that. And that's why you guys along with me and why we wanted to create this show, because I think there's just another level of media out there where people can, interact and talk to a guy like myself that's been there and not just shit on players all the time. Our show is not going to be analyzing a game and me telling you that Carey Price should have made that save. That's just something that's never going to happen. And I never want to be that guy. I want something different. And I want us to go in a different direction. And James can touch on some of the other things that we'll be doing. Obviously, our live show is our big. Yeah. We get to interact with you the best, but we'll have plenty of other stuff going.
Yeah, not just once a week, folks. We're going to be doing this throughout the week. So the content, we've got post game shows that we're going to be putting out on Habs tonight. There's going to be topical stuff. So I'm going to do a show with Dale. We're going to talk about being hockey dads. We're going to talk about player development. We're going to talk about, the ins and outs and some of the stories of taking our kids to the rink, and not just for dads, for moms as well. But and then everyone else is going to get into certain niches with Dale and other hockey players that we bring into the channel. The idea being that we can go into the stories. I mean, just this past week with Walter's passing, I mean, the stories and the legacy he left behind the hockey world. I mean, an hour or two on Saturday night could not do it justice. And I think this is a great platform for everyone to share and celebrate their hockey life, but also do it with the perspective of people like Dale and other guests that we're going to have on, maybe some even tonight, that are going to give you sort of that insider intel as to what it means to be in the pros, what it means to get there, and to get that perspective without the cynicism or the negativity often associated with mainstream media today. Man. And actually, I'm going to tease one thing before I go to Aaron, which is on social, you might have been following us and you might have looked at this little image today and said, guess who? Find out tonight. Well, I'm not going to introduce that person quite yet, but they are ready on standby. And when we're ready, Aaron, I'll let you do the honors. But just to be sure, we do have a special guest or two tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Awesome first show. I can't wait. And once again, it's not traditional media, so we don't have the bounds of if we're in a hot topic or a really good conversation that we have to get off because there's a golf program or something in right after us. So we are in a conversation and we're going to have fun. So like I said before, we'll post the email on the on a little ticker on the bottom over here. It'll say Habs. Yep. habstonight@gmail.com. Send us an email and we'll get you on the show as a guest. You can interact with Dale as much as you want. If you have a super chat, remember your super chats, any money that you donate are going to charity. They're not going into my pocket. They're not going to anybody's pocket. They're going into charities that you, the fans, have decided for. And I think that's really what we want to come across. We're a community here and we really want to grow that. So, so Dale and I, we've been talking about what are we going to do our first show on? And, we said, okay, what can we talk about that, Habs fans in Montreal have been wanting to know a little bit more. And when I mean a little bit more, I mean they want to know the actual real story about what happened. And we talked about it a while for a while. And the point of doing tonight's show on PK Subban was because it's been a while now. It's been more than a cup of coffee. It's been a bit. The trade has happened. Each one of those individuals have now settled into their own situations. And Dale and I both feel that we can kind of talk about it now because it's not as, I don't want to say taboo, but it's not as so close as it was a year or 2 or 3, ago. And I don't know, Dale, if you want to add anything to that as well, because it's going to be a good topic tonight.
He's one of the most interesting guys that I've ever played with. And I've made, no buts about it that we're very, very close friends off ice. And he's a guy that I truly believe kind of got a raw shtick at the end of his career in Montreal, where he was kind of portrayed in this light like he was a hazard in the dressing room and he was a bad influence on people. And it's just something that always bothered me. And I've never really had the platform to come out and tell the real stories and tell my opinion of how it was in the dressing room. And he's such a polarized guy. He's done so much for Montreal as a city. He was such a good ambassador for the Montreal Canadiens, the donation he made, everything he did in the city. You won't find too many people that had a bad experience with PK Subban. And I just have a tremendous amount of respect for the guy. And I think, he's one of my favorite things to talk about. There's just so many stories on the guy. We could go on forever. And we're going to touch on that for sure.
Oh, PK was such a nice enough guy too, that he actually cut us a bit of a promo for tonight's show, which I think can I play now, Aaron? Can I run the clip?
Absolutely, James. Go for it.
All right, man, let's go for it.
Hey guys, PK Subban here. Just want to say congrats on the show. Love my time in Montreal. Your fans are the best. And hopefully maybe at some point I can come on the show. All right. Good luck, guys.
There you go.
What a guy. Look at this. I love that guy.
Yeah, he wanted to inform me. He just woke up from his nap. So, he didn't have the same energy that he normally has. But, they're obviously in a tough schedule. And, we're not trying to step on anybody's toes. That's something, obviously, we don't want to bring people in busy schedules and stuff like that. I know how it is. Yeah. But he wanted to make sure that he let everybody know he just had a nap. So that's why he doesn't have
He looks good. Don't worry. He looks good.
He always looks good. He always looks
good. Prettiest guy in hockey. I got to say that. Most well-dressed and well-groomed.
Very well-dressed. Is there anything better on a Saturday when Don Cherry would put the boys walking in? He's got the Chris fedora on and just the wildest jackets that guy would have, man. There's nothing better.
Don, if you're watching, we want you on the show, by the way.
There you go.
I know you got time. Let's go, bud.
There you go. Okay, well speaking of PK, I think the best way to introduce our surprise guest for the show today is going to be someone who, played with PK when he was a rookie. And I would honestly say this individual developed PK right at the beginning to have one of those open hearts where we talked a bit about before, where, PK made that massive donation. I'm trying to think, it probably started when these two went to a place after a devastating thing happened in Haiti. And what better person to have on our first show than my old friend, the one person who Dale could probably not take in a fight. Ladies and gentlemen, former Montreal Canadiens, Georges Laraque. George, how are you, buddy?
Awesome. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing great, man.
Thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you know what? Former player, man. That's my pleasure, man. My pleasure to be on your show, man, Dale.
So you guys shared the same locker room. So here's a quick question for you. So 10 years have passed since you were in that locker room, George, as a player, as opposed to Dale. Anything changed in that locker room from an aesthetics point of view?
Well, an aesthetic, like you mean like the looks of it, the room and everything, stuff like that. It's
new pictures.
Yeah, you know what? It pretty much look alike. Like the pictures they use, like all the old timer, the legend that are up there and stuff that you could see. Obviously, the colors are the same. It's obviously like more modern today as it was like back then, but the image, the teams, and the history of the team and stuff is always strong in the dressing room. And you see all the legends that are up there and stuff, all the Hall of Famers and stuff. It's such rich history in this room, right? That you know that when you go into that room, you're into with a rich history teams. It's a special place.
How did it feel like, Dale, when you went in there for the first time?
Well, I've said it all along. I was the biggest Montreal Canadiens fan. You know, regardless if this is my jerseys on the back in my dad's basement, there's Montreal Canadiens stuff everywhere. That, you know, in my childhood bedroom, I still have the Montreal Canadiens score clock hanging from my bedroom. Like, my mom and dad haven't changed it. So I was the biggest Canadiens fan. So to come in that locker room, you know, I was just so excited to put on that jersey. It just meant more to me than my previous stops when I was in Vancouver and New York. There was just something about it. You know, I played one game the year before with Vancouver and Montreal. Being in the Bell Center was insane. But to come out wearing that jersey, man, there's just nothing like it.
Yeah. So here's an interesting thing. Before we get into PK, I want to ask both of you a question. So you guys were actually in the league. I think you broke in, what, 2008, Dale?
Nope, my first 2010.
2010. Okay, so it was around the same time where George was just leaving the league, I would say. So if you could describe each other as players, I think that would be very interesting, because I mean, you both had, I don't want to say a similar role, but you both were on the same number line eventually for Montreal, just a little bit of a different role, I would say. So how would George? How would you describe Dale? How would you describe Dale? And then Dale, how would you describe George as a player?
Well, you know, Dale is a power forward. Like, he could skate, you know, he could bang, he could, you know, I wouldn't say he's not a heavyweight like me, like I was. His role was not to go against the toughest guy, right? But you know, he could do the odd goals and stuff, and he could hit, and he could be a factor in a playoff game. You know, a guy like him with his physique, he was bringing something to the team that every team needed and stuff. And I remember with Montreal, you had there's 1 year that you were amazing, especially in the playoff and stuff. And some of the stuff that you were able to do is exactly what the team needed and stuff. With the size and the skating, you could skate well for a big guy and stuff. So, but yeah, it's certainly was not my forte what you were doing out there.
I couldn't do what you did, George. That's why. You know, I'm thank goodness that I was not in the era of guys like George, because I wanted, you know, like, I knew I had to fight, and it was part of my game, and it was never something that, like, I thought much about until my first couple of years in Vancouver, where I had to start thinking about it. And that was kind of, I had such a minimized role, and I had to start thinking about fighting, and I was watching like YouTube clips before the games of guys I was going to fight, and it was just something like I was so uncomfortable doing. And I didn't want to do it, but I had to do what I had to do to, you know, get my foot in the league, because, you know, George was fighting guys that I only want to watch on YouTube. I don't want to be on the same ice sheet. It's incredible. And actually, this is funny. I was watching a video of you the other day, George, where it was a fight, you and Mitch Fritz, and you were talking about it. And I absolutely loved the comment, because, you know, when people watch fights, it's like they can watch a fight like that. And I know you mentioned it too, where you're like, well, you know, a lot of people thought I lost the fight and he didn't even hit you. And I absolutely loved it, because when you go and watch the actual fight, when a guy knows what's happening, I mean, the guy's 7 feet tall, and he didn't touch you once, and it was incredible. And I remember playing against Mitch Fritz in the minors, and his face was above the glass. He was so tall. It was actually insane. The guy he was humongous, and you fought guys that were way tougher than him. I have so much respect for what you did to do it, and the mindset that it takes. I can't even explain that to people. Like,
yeah, I don't. You know, Dale, as you know, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, I hated doing it. I did it for 13 years because that's what got me into the league. That's what got me to stay. But when I look back, I can't believe I did this. And the biggest pride I take in over 13 years or over 200 fights in the NHL is the fact that I never got a concussion, I never got hurt. I never got knocked out. And because after you play hockey, there's so many of my peers that did this job that today, you know, they're not in good health. You know, they have damage and stuff. When they talk, like the speech is slower, the memories, they have a lot of problems, right? Because, you know, there's so many blows to the head, and some guys, to fight the anxiety, like, they took drugs, alcohol, and all that stuff. Yeah. So over the years, man, when you retire, it takes a toll on you. So you never know how it's going to come out. It only takes one bad fight, one bad punch, one bad fall on the ice, and it could be affected for the rest of your life. And you have to think about that stuff. So I feel really lucky that I never got hurt and I was fine, because, man, this is barbaric, man. I can't believe fighting with no gloves against monsters, and considering the fact that some guys I fought made me look like midgets.
Yeah,
it tells you how some guys are huge, man.
this guy.
There's
Oh
Mitch
man,
right there on the left, folks. That's Mitch Fritz, and he's got a good 1.5 feet on that other gentleman there.
he was the tallest guy I've played against. I think he was the tallest guy I saw. I think he was 6'9".
Oh, jeez.
And he had this goatee. He looked like he was straight out of like a scary movie or something. The one Rob Zombie used to make. Do you remember that scary movie? Anybody?
House of
Or
Horror.
the Carnival one. Yeah, that's
Yes, like he was right out of that movie, man. I'm pretty sure he was an extra because it was. Oh, man, he was a scary looking.
Yeah, but you know who was the scariest looking of all, right?
Who?
The Boogeyman, man.
Oh, you know what?
Like-
I have a really good story about this actually. So, my second training camp in New York, I was roommates with him just for the start. Just for the start of training camp, and I remember we got into the room, and he didn't say anything to me, and he lays on the bed, and I'm sitting on my bed, and I didn't want to turn the TV on. I was so scared. I didn't want to say anything. I was just laying on my bed, and I'm texting my dad, and I was like, Dad, I don't know if I should turn on the TV. The Boogeyman's right beside me. I don't know what to do. And he didn't talk to me the whole time. And at the time, I didn't really think much about it. But now that I look back on some of the things that went, man, he was going through some difficult things. And it's a funny story the way I'm telling it, but it's really unfortunate to what happened because, you could obviously see the guy was struggling with that.
Yeah.
there's the Boogeyman right there.
How many times did you fight him?
4 times. Four times we did, and again, I feel really fortunate about the fact that I did well every time. But you know what? I was scared, man. Every night before I knew I was gonna face him, I didn't sleep. I had the worst pre-game skate ever. The meals before, I didn't eat anything because I was petrified, and especially the first time I fought him, man. A couple of games before that, he broke Todd Fedorik's face. He had metal plates in his face, and I was the next guy playing him after, and he was a rookie, and he was killing everybody in the league. He was breaking everybody's face, and I was like, my God, I can't believe I have to do this. Even teammates were like, George, we don't want to be you tonight. And I was like, my God. And Boogeyman watched me pregame skate, the morning skate. He watched me practice, and I was like, can you make it even more obvious?
Walking?
Yeah,
he's like, that's my prey.
Yeah, he was in the stand. He was in the stand. Look at me practice. I couldn't even make a pass. I was like, why are you looking at me? It was playing in my head, and I couldn't wait to get it over with. And I was like, I remember in a pregame nap, and I didn't sleep at all. I was praying to God that he was a hockey scratch tonight. There's no way it was gonna happen. I was like, come on, don't make him play tonight. Come on. And when Manny, right? And then, Manny had the last face up. My fourth line goes out there, and he's not there yet. They have the last change. They call him in, and he goes on the face up. I'm like, fuck. Are you kidding me? And then, I did really good after the first fight that we had against one another. But every time we played him, he always came back, man. And, it was insane because he's actually one of the few guys that actually liked it. Because most of the guys that fought for a living, they did not like it. I don't know any of the tough guys that like doing it. We did it because we had to be there. But him, he loved it. He loved it so much that he fought in the summer. He had a fighting training camp that he was hanging on and stuff. And he was having fun with it and stuff. But man, no way I'd be fighting for fun, man. I did not like it.
What's your strategy when you're going to fight that guy? Your first time, where's your mindset with that?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, my training was different than all these guys, right? Because these guys didn't have good balance. Me, I had really good balance, and I was really strong because I didn't do weights like guys do. You know, most guys when they train, they do weight, they do bench press, they do dumbbells. And you do that, your upper body becomes so big that you lose flexibility. Me, I was doing like mostly running, core, yoga, abs, stuff like this. So my core and my legs were so strong that I never fall. And because of my strength and my abs and my legs and stuff, I could control guys with my arms without having any upper body strength like they did. So it was easier. So my grip also, you know, that is the most important thing when you grab a guy's jersey, right? So I would do chin up with towels to train my grip. So when I grab on a jersey, I never lose grip. And the grip is the power you have on a guy. When you hold him in one hand and you could control him and stuff, that was the key. And I always took guys' helmet off, not to bring my hand, and I never did. Because when you take a guy's helmet off right at the beginning of the fight, he's panicking because now everything is right to the head, right? So little things like this that I did, and I trained a lot on the ice, doing pads and stuff on the ice to keep the habit of being in balance all the time. And I never told any other guys that. But in the summer, when I retired, I was giving lessons to Westgarth, to many tough guys that in the summer. What's the big guy? McIntyre, like 6-7 tough guys that I would show them how to defend and how to fight on the ice and stuff, doing pads with them so they get used to it and give them some of the tricks, which I would have never done while I was playing because I didn't want them to know what I was doing, right? But anytime you could have an edge, man, in this crazy world of gladiator that we were on back then, man, we used everything that we could.
It's so crazy to me. Like, I just think, I mean, even when I was coming in, like when I was in the minors, my first professional year was 2008. It was still pretty crazy. So I had Donald Brashear came down the third year, my third year in the minors, and literally I thought I was watching National Geographic the way guys would chase him around. So it was like 4 hyenas chasing prey, trying to make the mark, man. It was crazy. It was so crazy to me. And then when I got into the NHL, thank goodness, in 2010, it was starting to go away a little bit. And then by 2012, 2013, I feel like it was really getting out of the game. And I truly believe that it's probably for the best. I think there's a place for fighting, but I just think it's gone in the right direction. What's your opinion on that? What do you think?
Okay. So, you know, because this is what put bread on the table for me, I will never talk against fighting because without fighting, I probably don't have a 13-year career in the NHL. So I understand why, because of the danger and everything, that the league is working to get it out of the game. But I'm always going to defend it because I know there's some of the kids that play juniors hockey that hopes fighting stays so they could have a job in the NHL one day. So yes, it's dangerous. But when I did it, nobody put a gun in my temple to force me to do it. I did it on my own will. And
right.
But and I have a kid, and I would never want to do that. But obviously, it would be his own choice. But I would never wish on anyone the anxiety of fighting. But man, I have to defend it because that was my job. And you know, many tough guys that retired now that talk against it, I think it's a bit hypocrite, and I'll tell you why. None of these guys, while they were playing, ever talk against fighting and ever retired right away and said, fighting is too dangerous, should be out of the game, I'm done playing. Everybody that talk against fighting, the fighters I'm talking about, is when they're done. When their career is done, I can't play anymore? Okay, fighting should be out of the game when they all make millions, right? Say it while you're playing, stop playing it, and I'll listen to you. So me, I played for 13 years, I'm done. I'm not going to be like, okay, it should be out. No. I hope it stays for the next guy like me that hope it's be there. And obviously the trend is that it's going away, which I understand, but it's not going to be because of me.
Right.
Yeah, but it's more dangerous now. You see all these superstars getting into fights. These guys they're gonna break their hands. I mean, you don't want a Sidney Crosby, in a fist fight, or a Connor McDavid, but these guys are getting cheap shotted, and they don't have that fourth line or third line guy, the tough guy, to come in and help them. And even some of these tough guys that are willing to fight, these are really good players coming in. So like, where's the risk reward? I mean, I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, what would you rather have? I didn't like the stage fights. I never preferred those, but emotions get high when you're playing a game. People, it's just life, right? Like, I mean, when I watch some of Dale's fights, it's like, okay, they're not two heavyweights, but they're two guys saying, hey, we're battling for this and we got to do what we got to do. Want to light a spark.
Guys,
Yeah.
okay, little argument I'll give you guys about fighting. Because you guys all against fighting now, so you guys are like the ice.
I'm not against it.
No.
You all love the ice capade, and it's fine. But how about this? Distance of the NHL was at the highest when fighting was allowed. When even before my time, people would show up 2 hours before the game because they knew Probert and Dobie would go at it. When there's a fight, everybody's on their feet, like in the stands. Everybody's screaming. The energy building. No goals could ever do, in terms of energy-wise, what a good fight does in a building. More than goal, more than anything. And again, I understand the danger part of it and stuff, but the cheap shot of today are way worse than the fighting because two tough guys are fighting. The star players are not going to get hurt in that. Right now, everybody's more brave because there's no fighting, there's no accountability. Now there's more and more cheap shots. The cheap shot, the flying elbows to somebody's head is what's giving concussion, not the fights. Again, two tough guys that are fighting one another and stuff, and the star guys is okay. You're talking about Crosby, he doesn't have to fight. Talk about McDavid, he doesn't have to fight. They have guys that are there for that. So, man, the popularity of it, why you think that the website Hockey Fight exists? There's so many fans are fighting. Have you ever heard fans booing when two guys were engaging when they were fighting? No. People talk against fighting, but they're the same people that when there's a fight, they understand they're like, kill him, and they want blood, and they're screaming and stuff. So are you kidding me?
Man, that's so good. That's so good. And I'm in a place where I think you always need fighting. I mean, you see, we look at a hit like the other day where Tom Wilson, he's probably one of the tougher guys in the NHL for the time right now. He can fight anyone comfortably. I have a hard time believing he takes a run at Brandon Carlo when you're sitting on the bench in Boston. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Just in my eyes, it doesn't happen. So I think it'll always have a place in the game for sure. For sure. I wanted to ask you, so when you're having these fights, you're in the prime of your career, like what kind of conversations are you having with your family? Like, would you guys discuss it a lot? Like, would you guys talk a lot of hockey or where would those go?
Well, my family hated the fact that I was fighting, man. They did not like it. My mom didn't want to watch it. I remember my mom was like, George, stop doing it. Don't fight anymore. I was like, Mom, you know that new house that I just got to you? It's because I'm fighting. If I stop fighting, Mom, the next car you want, that new car you asked me for Christmas, yes, you're gonna get a Lada, man. A retired old car, man. That's what's gonna keep me in the league. She didn't understand it. Many of people in my family didn't understand why I kept doing it because they knew that I didn't love it. They knew me as a person. I'm a jokester. I'm like, people that knew me, they're like, how can you do this, man? I was like, please take a show. And then I was like, I was fortunate enough that I was good enough. I had a good enough reputation that I didn't have to do it as much. Because if you're really good at it and you're known as one of the best ones, guys didn't mess up with your team. So then I didn't have to fight more than 10, 11 times a year because nobody took liberties in my team and my job was done. Right. When you're going to warm up, Dale, and tough guys would come up to me, is like, George, I promise I won't be hitting guys tonight. Please don't come up to me. I loved it, man. I go in the dressing room. I put money on the board for the 1 goal. I was so happy because the game was done. I was like, tonight, that's it. Or in the face-off, a guy's come up to me, he's like, Josh, I'll ask you a question, okay? But just move no with your head, okay? I'm like, fine. And be like, you got 5 kids? You have 5 kids? And I'd be like this, no. He goes back to his bench. I asked George to fight. George said no. And guys in my dressing room, they're like, what, you asked you to go? I said, no, you asked me if I had 5 kids. So, like, little technique like this guy would go just make it look like they wanted to ask me, but they really didn't. And I just loved it. It was awesome because I knew if guys of other teams were reacting like that against me, my job was done, man. And I knew, like, the game was going to be quiet. Nothing happened. And, there were little things like this that it would happen between tough guys, man.
That is so good. That's when you know you're really tough. I can tell you, I didn't have that happen to me one time, but that's when you know you're really tough.
And you both
is there
hey,
particular...
Dale, who's the toughest guy that you fought in your career?
Good question.
Yeah, I got asked that the other day. I'm trying to think who the toughest guy that I fought was.
Like the guy that you shouldn't have, because you were a good player. You weren't a heavyweight, but I knew you mixed it up sometimes because, you were, as a physical guy, sometimes you would.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the toughest guy that I fought was. Man, I don't know. It's hard to pick one. I didn't have like a really like legit heavyweight that I fought. Like even in 2012 when I was in Vancouver, like there weren't really any legit super heavyweights that would even play. So I'm trying to think who the toughest would be. The hardest I got hit was by Clayton Stoner, though. I don't know if he's retired now. He played last year somewhere. That was the hardest I got hit. I remember talking to my dad after the game, and he's like, "Man, he really got you there." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, he put you down." And I was like, to be honest with you, I literally didn't remember it. And then I went back and watched the fight on YouTube, and I was like, "Holy geez, he did buckle me there. Like, what happened?" And that's like what we talk about, the memory thing, where it was like, man, I literally didn't think he put me down. And then my dad's like, "He really got you there." I was like, "No, he didn't. It wasn't that bad. I thought it." But he clocked me. That was the hardest I think I got hit.
Yeah.
And you both have had run-ins with number 17 in Boston, just at different periods, right? So,
yeah. You had running with Lucic? You did?
I got him. I didn't fight him. No, he wanted to. He wanted to. God, when we in the 2014 playoffs, when we played him there, him and Sean Thornton would have given their paycheck to fight me for sure.
Remember the famous when they're shaking hands after Montreal beats Boston and Lucic goes in for a nice handshake and grabs one of the players. He grabs Dale and says a sweet little something in his ear. And I don't think Dale has revealed what that is, and maybe one day he will. But
what was he upset? What did he say?
Oh,
he's trying to
George hasn't been on Habs Tonight Twitter, has he? That's like the number one question. Yeah.
I mean, we can bring up a YouTube clip another time, but it was building throughout the series. It was in game 2, he scored an empty netter from center, and he came and pounded his chest in front of our bench. And I didn't like it. It was an empty net. It was, he made it 3-1. Like, he didn't need to do that. I didn't really like it. So then I scored the next game, and I pounded my chest, and then he didn't like that. And then I think it was game 6. It was early in the game. Game 5, him and Joel McGinley were flexing at us from the bench. They were sitting there. They were just giving it to us. They were bullying us in game 5. We got to game 6. I went after him after a scrum, gave him a little shove, and then I flexed on him, and it was on the Jumbotron at Montreal. So the Bell Center went nuts. It was unreal. I could see the steam coming out of his head. He was so wound up. And then game 7, I scored 5 minutes into the game, and that was just kind of the icing on the cake. And then we're coming through the line, and we're shaking hands, and end of a series. I've never had anybody ever in my whole and in minor hockey and anything just kind of lose it in the line. And he was so wound up. I could see a couple guys ahead. Like I was like, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. Who knows? And he's grabbing guys' hands, and he's all aggressive and getting all mad. And then he grabs my hand, and he's like, "I'm going to fucking kill you next year. You're done. I'm killing you." And I was like he's got my hand. He's like 3 guys past me. I'm like, holy smokes, man, what is going on? Then Lexi, Emelin, and oh man, he was so wound up. It was crazy. It was I got to get him on, and we got to talk it out, man. I'm sure we could have a good laugh about it now.
Is that the moment right there, guys?
Yeah, that's it. That's
it. Then, next year we played each other, and kind of nothing came of it. And
but Dale, that playoff first of all, you were amazing in these playoffs. And you guys pulled an upset because they had an amazing team. They had for the playoff, man. That team wasn't moral there too with Iginla and you remember like their team was so stacked that I remember Lucic was saying he felt like his team was like the Miami Heat, all the guys that they had it to the team. And because of the playoff you had, the difference you made, man, you guys pulled a huge upset because not many people thought you guys were going to beat Boston, man.
No, it was crazy. It was crazy. Subi played lights out that series too. He was unbelievable in that series. And
you still think if Carey didn't get hurt, you guys would have gone to the Cup?
Man, it still pains me to this day. I truly believe that. Just when a team gets on a roll, like we were just rolling. Everybody was contributing. Our team was so good. Everybody was healthy. I truly believe, like, you know, we went 6 games and we lost 6-game 1-0 to New York, and that was without Carey the whole series. I don't even think it would have been close. I don't know if we would have beat LA. I
agree that you would have made the final for sure if Carey wouldn't hurt, for sure. There's no doubt.
You know, I'm not the type of person to look back and say what ifs and stuff like that. I don't really like to think about things like that. But man, that could have changed the careers of a lot of guys to win a Stanley Cup there.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would have been you would have been hailed a hero for many years in the city of Montreal. Okay, so these are great stories. I love this stuff. And you know what? From Lucic, I'd love to get him on the show. So Milan, when you see this, you know what? Everybody has a good game. Everybody has a bad game. Everybody's emotional. It's playoffs. You know, come on the show. Let's clear the air. It'd be a lot of fun.
Great. I think it's great, man. I thought it was at the time, like, you know, I didn't think it was great, but you know, like when you think about it now, it's funny. Like,
yeah, he seems like a passionate. He's a guy I'd love to play on a team with because it seems like he's.
That's what made him so good. He was big. He could skate. He was tough. Like, man.
How many people? How many people his size? Sorry, how many people his size right now are still playing in the NHL? Right, he's still there. He's still producing. So
you know what's funny about Lucic is that Dell is talking about a story where Lucic wanted to fight him and he wanted to go after you. Me is the opposite. I went after him. I wanted to fight him, and he wanted nothing to do with me. I chased him. Every shift I played against him when I was in Montreal. And every shift I chased him, I tried to engage him. I hit him. I did everything. He didn't even look at me. He wanted nothing to do with me. But with you, he wanted to go with you.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
You're trying to get revenge on the Commissary kid, right?
No, it's just that the thing is that I knew everybody in Montreal didn't like him because of the history. He used to manhandle guys. So when I played them, because in Montreal, the energy, the way it is that if you go after a guy, the crowds, it'll go so loud, they'll be screaming, they'll be shouting at the guy, they'll be bullying the guy if he turns you down. And the energy he gives to a bench, so when I was playing him, Carbono, I remember he puts my line against this line every shift, and every shift I was chasing him on the ice. It was actually pretty funny. To this day, people still tease him about it because that guy was 6'4", 240. He's not a midget. He's a big guy. And he's pretty tough too. It's not like that guy is tough, man. It's just that, you know, like I don't blame him not to go with me because, you know, he had an important role with the team and he's playing lots. But but I would have loved it just in Montreal.
Did he ever say anything, like any word to you, or wouldn't even
Not one word. I talked to him. I'd say, your family's in the building. Come on, man. Show them how tough you are. Come on. Are you kidding me? Like, I said everything I could. All the insult I could ever use. And he didn't say one word to me. He didn't say no. He looked elsewhere. I even hit him once behind in the corner. He went down hard. No reaction. Nothing at all, man. It was like, man, come on, man. Just once. I was praying that he would just go.
Come on. Give me one.
Meanwhile, he was to kill Dale. So
just a really quick tidbit. One time, I fought Zenon Konopka.
That guy's tough.
Yeah, I fought him. We fought twice one game. I saw him the night before. I went out for dinner, and it was kind of like a sports bar. And I saw him, and we got talking. I said, you know, like, what's going on? We had a good conversation. We had one beer. I was like, you know, do you want to have a go tomorrow? What do you think? We should. He's like, no, I don't want to. I was like, okay, we were joking about it. I was like, okay. Yeah. We got in warm up, and we were kind of stretching beside each other. And I was just coming back in the lineup, and I was like, Z, like, you know, he was leading the league in fights at the time. So I said, hey, do you want to give me one? He's like, man, my line's playing 12 minutes a night. I can't. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I get out for my first shift. I'm coming back in the zone, and all of a sudden I feel this tug on the back of my jersey. And I look behind him, and there he is with his gloves off. I was like, oh my God. Come on, man. Come on. Why'd you do that to me?
So who won that one?
Good fight. And then we ended up fighting later in the game too. I think I wanted him. I told him I wanted one more, and he gave me one. So really, we had some good jokes in the penalty box and stuff too. But that was just one where he was like, come on. I was like, give me one. He wouldn't give me one, and then turned the tables on me.
I always had this vision of the biggest fight going on, and then the guys going back to the penalty box and just chit-chatting about, like, who does your accounting, or, some silly question that you just had nothing to do with the fight or anything else, and it just shows these are two real, actual people, right? Like, and and people just have no idea that that would actually be the case, right? You're having dinner with a guy the night before, and the next day you're pounding each other. That's crazy. I love it.
Love it.
So let's talk here about PK, because I want to get into this, because it's interesting, because when George and I were talking before, and George was in Montreal when PK Subban started his career in Montreal as a rookie, and I found it fascinating to look at that aspect to see, okay, the beginning of his career started with George, and then the I don't want to say tail end, but the height of his career where he'd won a Norris. He had gone through everything with the salary arbitration, with almost becoming a captain, all these different things in Montreal, the big contract, and to see where that led him off, and to start at the beginning. And so I kind of, maybe I'll pose this question to you, George, is when you first met PK, like, what were your first impressions of him as a player and as a person?
I wasn't in Montreal in the beginning of his career, but I saw him as a rookie, and obviously was a high energy guy. And what I'll never forget about him is I already been to Haiti once because of the earthquake. Because when I got released from Montreal Canadiens, the first thing I did, my parents were born in Haiti, so I went back there with the NHLPA and the NHL. They gave me a couple millions that I was able to bring back to Haiti, and the people in Haiti helped rebuild that hospital, the Great Children's Hospital. I went there with Dan Amuse the first time in the summer, and that summer of 2010, PK asked me if he'd love to get involved. He'd love to come. So I arranged it with World Vision, and I brought PK with me to Haiti to see the hospital and stuff. It's funny because people are like, they're so proud of him there that I just think the fact that he was Haitian also, even though he's not. But yeah, he came to the hospital, and we played hockey with kids, and the sad thing about when we're playing hockey with them is when we gave him his sticks and stuff, 5 minutes later, after the hockey was done, they were selling the sticks for food because they're so poor that they don't. Their food is more important than the stick to play, right? But when we were there, and he was so generous of his time, he came 5 days. I remember the Montreal Canadiens were panicking because, like, George, you're sure it's safe? You're sure it's not dangerous? I was like, don't worry, it's safe. We have bodyguards with us. Nothing's gonna happen. The one thing he said to me when we were there after the 5 days, and God, man, I didn't know what impact what impact he was gonna live to that word. But he said, George, I promise you that one day in my career, I'll have a big impact as you did with Haiti in that hospital. And look what they did in Montreal with that 10 million, something that no one professional sport has ever done. And man, when I saw that, when you talk about a chain, every reaction, everything that you do, when you touch someone, because after PK did that, it touched other guys, like Drouin kind of did the same thing. Jonathan Drouin did, I think he did 6 million to another hospital, but still, it creates a chain that other guys see that and they want to contribute, they want to do things. But man, that guy, he did things in the way, every charity that he was involved, and not just in terms of donating money and he was gone, in terms of time and energy. If you make a lot of money and you're an athlete, it's easy to give out money. What's the hardest thing to do is donate your time. Be there, bring your energy. And that, he brought it to any charity event that he ever was part of. He was there. He was bringing it. His energy was there. The kids, they loved him. And on top of that, when you look at play, no one could ever say that all the charity work that he did was hampering his ability on the ice, because he was bringing it every game in Montreal, and all ice charity stuff that he was doing in Montreal, he was a legend. He could do it everything both ends of the ice. On the ice, no, the team was better with him when he was playing. And on the ice, every charity was cherished to have him and stuff. So he was an unbelievable human being, an unbelievable player in Montreal. And man, when they traded him and stuff, it was surely a tough loss because, you can't replace a guy like that any day.
Yeah. And to your point, and I mean, it's amazing to know that Haiti really opened up that kind of experience, right? Because I think you're right, George. A lot of people don't understand what that, they'll just make a donation, they'll do these things, but when they see it with their own eyes, it has an impact like You know, you carry that with you for a long time, if not forever, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine going to Haiti, especially after especially after that, and seeing that and not carrying that around and having that now ambition to make a donation and a serious one for children. I mean, it seems like he was, you know, and this is to both of you. It seems like he was very dedicated and very committed to Montreal. You know, it seems like listen, I wasn't in the room. I wasn't there. His actions do not show an ends that anybody would kind of say, hey, that makes sense, right? All the stuff he did in the community, being involved, it just doesn't, to me, a lot of things don't make sense. So I got to hit the rewind button and then kind of play it from different years and go up. And I think the easiest way to do it is, you know, looking at like kind of the essential part earlier on in his career. Let's start from 2013. He wins the Norris. Okay. Best defenseman in the NHL. I believe he was the first Montreal Canadiens since Chris Chelios to win the Norris at that point. I mean, he is now the best NHL defenseman in the league, if not the best defenseman in the world. All eyes are now looking on him, right? You've got a general manager now. Everybody's kind of looking at him, who's now the face of the Montreal Canadiens, along with Carey Price and a few other guys, right? Fast forward a couple of years, you got Weiss joining the team. You know, PK now is elite. You know, when you think of the NHL, you have a guy now who's transcended sports, and that, you know, you can ask anybody, who is PK Subban? They know who he is. And for someone, a hockey player, only a few people have ever crossed that barrier, right? Like, think about that. I mean, you think Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux. Who else would you just say to a random person today in Los Angeles, you know, or another market and say, do you know who that person is? PK Subban? Like, he still has that recognition. I can't think of many people that have that, right? So with that premise in mind, bring me into what you saw when you first met PK, Dale, and how that year where he was going into a contract year, how it all started, where you looked at his talent, him as a person, him on the team, right? Let's get to the point where this all laid out to where it is today and go back in time.
I will. I'll walk you along the best that I can. I got traded there in February of 2014, and I would say PK, along with a lot of other guys, was one of the guys that was the most welcoming on the team. Like, came in and I felt like he was my brother. I felt like he was a guy that I've known my whole entire life. The way, you know, he just made me feel a part of the team. And I think that might have had a part of why I was so successful, because for the first time I really felt like I was a big part of a team. And a big part of that for me was PK. And I'm forever grateful to him for that. And, you know, to see what I saw the outside when I wasn't on the team, and I saw a big personality. I saw, you know, a flamboyant guy. Like, I love the energy. That's how I am. That's how I live every day. I wake up every day. I'm blessed to be alive. I love to come to the rink and be a hockey player. I just enjoyed it. And not only did PK live the same way, but he truly embraced himself as a Montreal Canadien. That's what I saw every day. The guy came in, he had on his purple, pink, blue leather jackets. He was smiling. He was laughing. He would light up the room when he came in. Like, I had so much respect for his attitude and the way that he looked at life. Me and him just kind of hit it off, because we both had the same outlook of just being blessed to be a hockey player, blessed to be on the Montreal Canadiens. And for me, you know, our friendship kind of took off from there. And as I watched him as a player, man, I respected how much work he put in. And I don't know if people know how hard this guy worked in the gym. You know, you see his Instagram now, and he's working in the off seasons and stuff like that. But, you know, outside of Andre Markov, this was probably the guy that I saw work out the most during the season. I would look at him sometimes and be like, dude, I'm playing 9 minutes. You're playing 30 and you're working out like, how are you doing this? Like, why are you not getting tired? What is going on? But he was just a physical specimen. And that year, like, you know, our playoff run, you know, we had a lot of guys contributing, but he was the superstar of our team. He, you know, outside of, you know, Carey Price too. Sorry, don't let me leave him out. But just the way he would play, and my favorite was when he would just pick up the puck, turn the corner on a guy, and the Bell Center would start to get loud. He could literally just get it, turn the corner, and dump the puck in, and the crowd would go wild. Anytime he would take strides, the crowd would just build off it. And he had that effect on Montreal. It was amazing. And what I saw in the playoffs was a guy that really, really took it to another level. In the season, for the 2.5 months that I was there, he was great. And then the playoffs, he just took it to another level. And for me, that was just really cool to be a part of. The run was probably the funnest time I ever had playing hockey. And then, you lead into the summer where I was like, the guy won a Norris Trophy. He was a big, big part of our team that just went to the conference final. We have a chance to come back next year and be a really, really good team. You obviously have to lock this guy up long-term. That's what you're thinking. And then obviously, goes through the whole arbitration thing, which, is being someone that was very, very close to him was a difficult thing for me to watch him go through. The guy laid his heart on the line for you, but, he wasn't getting the money that he felt he deserved. And rightfully so, he wasn't getting the offers that I thought he should have got either. And to go through that, and I remember talking to him, the day after the first day of arbitration, and the guy was shattered, and a guy that probably up to that point, I've never seen him sad. I've never seen him have a bad day. And he was crushed. We're on the phone. He's like, Weiser, you won't believe what they were saying about me in arbitration. And we both understand the business side. That's arbitration is part of the business. You go there, they're trying to keep your salary cap down so your team can be really good. I understand it. But just the way he was crushed, man, it was really difficult to watch. And then, the relationship from there, I don't know if ever could have mended. I don't know. I don't know where that's obviously where the relationship kind of went wrong.
Dale, what's crazy about that is we all knew, like former players, we all knew what happened in arbitration, how they drilled them. They drilled them to give him not the money that he wanted, and how Molson is the one that had to step in so he could get the money that he deserved. And most star player, if they ever went through what he's been through, they wouldn't want to be on that team anymore. Despite of the treatment that he got, he loved Montreal so much. Swallowed that pill, signed that contract, was happy to be a Canadian, and gave his heart out despite what happened. But if you guys just heard some of the stuff that he said about a guy that laid it on the line every time on the ice and off the ice, was the biggest ambassador for the team, you'd be amazed about the fact that he still had tons of love for the team and he wanted to remain a Montreal Canadien for his entire career, despite what happened. Because, man, I can't even repeat, like, the stuff that I heard that they've said about him during that process. I could just imagine sitting and being him and listening to those things. Man, that's unbelievable. That the guy's the loyalty that he had.
How does it get to that point? This is what I don't understand. He does so well. He all these accolades. He brought everything to the table. You're going into arbitration. The fact that they let it get to that far, that to me is out of left field. It doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, think about it. The general manager wants to do one thing. The fans of the team are complaining on Twitter. This is, the infancy of Twitter at this point. Remember that, right? They are demanding that this guy is being treated with a little bit more respect, right? And then the owner of the organization comes in and says, no, we're going to change this. But the damage is already done at that point. You've already shredded the guy's confidence. You've already told him, here are the things. Let's put a bucket of negative stuff. This is what you are. This is why you deserve less. Like, the damage is already done at that point, right? And then you're right, George. He takes his pill and he signs that contract because he loves that team. And I don't personally know how you do it. Like, I don't.
He would have continued. He had no problem. After all of it, came back and, played really, really well the next year. The team, obviously struggled. We talked about that earlier, where we got off to a hot start and things went south and we had some injuries and stuff like that. But he would have been perfectly happy to go on with his day and stay a Montreal Canadien.
Now, we know the rumors. The rumors are, any fan who has watched the team for years knows the rumors that there were issues between him. And so the rumors are there's issues between him and one individual, and then there's issues between him and half the team hate him, right? Like, I never understood that. I never understood the fact where when they had their vote to be a captain, everybody, I looked at it when they voted, and you were Dale, you were in that room, right? correct? Yep. Okay. So when they're voting for him to be the captain, I'm looking at it at a sense where, okay, PK loves to be in front of the camera, right? What do hockey players really hate to do? They hate to go and talk to everybody after the game. This is perfect for a guy like PK. He likes the spotlight. He's a positive guy. He gives off that positive energy. You know, he'll own it when he makes a mistake. Like, he's the guy you'd want on the camera all the time. And I think he wanted that. For me, it looked like it. And then you have the people vote. Number one, I don't understand how all the players would vote for someone. Like, there's nothing wrong with Max Pacioretty or any of the other guys to be a captain or the assistant captains, but none of them had that like elite, like superstar level. I'm the guy on the team, which in my opinion, when you're watching, you know, sports on the NHL and you see the graphics of the one or two players that they always highlight, like this team versus that team, usually one or two of those players is the guy. Like, that's the elite star of the team. And PK was always on those graphics, right? That's a rule of marketing 101. Always push your star, right? So he's always on those graphics along with Carey Price. So,
but they'll explain how that went, because I've heard a lot of stuff from the guys in the room. So I'd love to hear from you the process, how you saw it, because you were there, and I understand what you're saying, Aaron. But when you say how guys could be voting, but I really want to hear from you, Dale, your take on it, because I was talking to a lot of guys also during that process. So to hear from you how you saw it and what happened, to me would be very interesting, because this is something that I don't know, like from your side.
Yeah, so we voted for the captain. So we had first day of training camp, you do the fitness testing, and then we went to La Prairie Golf Course and we had a dinner, and we had the dinner and everything, and then we were voting on a captain, which in my professional sports career, I've never voted for a captain. That's never happened. I've never, not that it's a wrong thing to do. I mean, you voted for a captain in minor hockey. I think, in professional sports, usually management, you pick the guy that's pretty obvious to everybody. So, that was obviously something new for me, and everybody voted. And in my opinion, I was a little confused, to be honest with you. We all were at the dinner and everybody put their votes in. They didn't count it up right away. They didn't tally anything. And then, they kind of announced it a day or two later. So I don't know if they already had the plan of make the boys feel like, they have an opinion, but really we're just going to give it to a guy anyways, or what really happened, because I don't really know if Patch would have had the most votes, to be honest with you. I'm just calling it like it is. I don't know. But he might have. And I'm a huge Max Pacioretty fan. I'm not on either side of the either side of the line. I love
they are both elite talents. Absolutely.
They were both elite talents. They're both superstars in my mind. And I don't think there was a wrong choice. But for me, I don't know if he had the most votes. And then we went and actually the funny thing was, a couple of days went, and it was right before Subi was releasing his donation. And he texted me, he goes, dude, he texted me in the morning, 6 a.m. and he was like, dude, I have huge news for you. And I was like, oh shit, congrats, man. This is awesome. Because I thought he was getting named captain. I truly believe that. And then he didn't answer me. And then, 20 minutes later, I saw he released his donation, and then we named a captain later in the day. So it was a really, really unique way of events.
Okay. Yeah, so because we knew at that time, Dale, what was unfortunate for him is, and what I didn't understand is, if a player gives something which we've never seen in world of sport, why is the team is not there? Why is the coach, the GM is not there? Why he's doing this? I've always felt there was a friction between him and the management, because they should have been there when he did this big announcement, right? Because this is so big. And I do understand the Montreal mentality that they like the captain to be like quiet guys that don't talk much, it's always been guys that they're picking as captain. Montreal Canadiens, if you look at the history of it, they like the conservative guy that don't say too much, like the image of the team, like the way it is. So I knew he was going to be the captain, just with the fact that the guy has too much energy, I think, for them, and that team was not ready for it. But what I didn't understand, though, is if off the ice he did something as big as he's done, and the management is not there, that speaks on its own, just in terms of, because I'm pretty sure they were informed of it. Why wouldn't they want to be part of something so historical of what he's done? So that's why I kind of felt that at that time, following the arbitration and this announcement, that there was a friction between him and the management.
Did you, and Dale, to add to that, did you think that there was a lot of friction between him and other teammates, or was it just like a couple of, like any team, any group of family, you're together all the time, sometimes you know how it is. You love someone, you hate someone, like you love someone, you hate someone, right? Like,
yeah. And then to me, that's kind of what's bothered me. People still talk about the trade, obviously, and that's kind of what's bothered me, is that they made him out to be this bad guy in the locker room, and he's a terrible influence. And I'm a pretty unbiased guy. I get along with everybody, and I didn't see it. He came in, he had a great attitude. They didn't name him captain. He swallowed the pill. He kept going. You wouldn't know any different. He works hard. Yeah, he plays hard. He's had fights in practice with guys. It happens. That happens in hockey. He's a guy that, he had a couple fights in practice because he likes to push guys' buttons. That's what he does. He's funny. I love that. You need characters like that on your team to be successful. He was one of those guys where I thought it was a great 1-2 punch because, like you say, George, Patch was kind of reserved and quiet. And then you had Subi, who was out there and loud, and you need that in the dressing room. You need that mix to have a really good team. You can't just have the same guy where you won't have any success with that. And there was a couple meetings we would even have as a team, and Subi would just be getting ripped on video for like not even hockey related stuff. He would he used to do his lap before the game. He would like get his skates going and do a quick lap, and he was smirking or something, and we lost the night before, but there was a start of a new game, and then the next day we watched video and we're talking about how he shouldn't have been smirking because we lost the day before. And it was like there was just little things like that just I thought made no sense to helping our team be successful or move forward. And it was just, I don't want to say that he was the whipping boy, you were picking on him. I just think he was an easy target because he was out there, he was loud.
No, that's true. He was a target for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, you watch, what was it, 24 of the series behind the scene where Michel Therrien was literally on camera screaming and belittling him. And this is a Norris Trophy winning defenseman getting screamed at by a coach who knows that he's being on camera. And you're telling me in the year 2021, if that would happen right now, I think there'd be a much bigger issue if those things happened today than if they did back then, right?
Just the fact that Michel Therrien stopped him from doing the triple low fight with Carey Price. Hockey players were superstitious with creative habits, right? When he made him stop doing it, he said he didn't want him to do that anymore. You're a coach. You're supposed to coach a guy when he's playing a game. Like habits that guys have, the way that they do handshake and stuff, it's none of the business. You have no business of telling a guy you can do this and do that. The guy's performing on the ice. That's what should matter. But you're right that he was a target, Dale, because there's little things like this that people were picking on every little thing that he did.
Yep.
And man, I didn't even know how he was able to put all those things aside and keep playing the way that he did, because a lot of things was unfair. Sure.
It's incredible. It's incredible the way he did it.
So let me ask something, and this is like I said, this may be a weird thing to ask, and I'll ask you, George, because obviously, I can ask you. You're on the Canadiens. Is there any added pressure, you personally, being a black male in a hockey, in hockey where it's very much dominated with white individuals at that point? The game is a little bit more diverse now in 2021 than it was in the mid 2000s, absolutely. But being in the Montreal market, obviously you're in Montreal, people are going to love you no matter what. But is there an added pressure?
The only added pressure is for any players that play for the Montreal Canadiens, whether you're black or not. It's I didn't like. The only problem with color is when I would play minor hockey, racism and stuff. But I didn't feel that in the NHL. But when you're Quebecers and you speak French, then there's that added pressure that people often say that people that are born in Quebec don't want to play for the Canadiens because of the media, right? But me, I didn't care about that. The one thing that I didn't know when I played in Montreal is that because I was kind of flamboyant, the way PK was, I was outspoken. Teams didn't like that. They didn't like guys that were outspoken, speak their mind and stuff, because you got to follow a line when you play for a historical team like Montreal Canadiens. and I didn't follow that line, and that got me so much in trouble, which is fine. I knew it would, but I was like, I'm not gonna stop talking because I'm in Montreal Canadian. I was the same way as everything that I was in, but man, it's crazy because, man, I was hurt all the time because I had to edit this, and they talk more about me than any of the guys because I was always speaking my mind. And I remember like the guy that was controlling the press, they'd be in the back of me every time I talked. Like, don't say that, don't go there. And they were like, they were going nuts, man. They hated me, and I was just feeding the media all the time with whatever I thought about. And other than talk like a politician, man, and the team did not like that at all.
Okay, but from my perspective as a fan, I think the NHL could use more of these personalities. Like, did the PK Subban situation scare a lot of players from showing their personality? Do you think this has gotten in people's heads?
Hockey's not like that. You know, Dale, hockey's not like that. Basketball, football, players speak their mind. So hockey, the way we're raised, you're not you have a feeling fitting in the mold. Like, you know, how if you come out too much, now people will look at you guys will be like, what is he doing? Like, you can't. Roenick was like that, Jeremy Roenick. There's not many guys that were like that brought it and played the game, and you know, but as you know, Dale could tell you how conservative it was, because even when he came in, hockey is always like that. Guys were always different. If somebody was a big flamboyant, they'd say they're in the wrong sport, right?
Yeah. Dale, sorry, I just want to add into that. Did you ever have any situation where you felt, like George was saying before, that there was a friction between management and between PK, and maybe it was, I don't want to say that management, you know, looked at the players and said, okay, guys, you know, boys, you got to pick this side or this side. But did you ever feel, or did you ever know of a situation where someone was kind of felt like they had to make a choice, and maybe it wasn't asked to make that choice, but they felt that they kind of had to?
Yeah, I could feel that way. I know a couple of our young defensemen that were coming in, they were kind of like, I wouldn't say directly instructed, you know, like, don't act like that, don't be like him. But, you know, they were told, you know, try to distance yourself from him a little bit. And I know being very, you know, we sat together on the plane. We'd go for dinner all the time. We had the, you know, for the Winter Classic, they were filming. And a lot of the times, you know, obviously they wanted to film PK. And every time on the road, we'd go for dinner and stuff. And I know a couple of times it was like, you know, I actually, in meetings, you know, if I wasn't playing well, it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't hang out with Subi so much. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? So, you know, there was, I don't know if I ended up getting traded before him. So I don't know if that played into it or what, but you know, there was little things that just, you know, it just really didn't add up to me. It didn't make a lot of sense. And it's unfortunate because he's a guy that, to me, like George says a lot, is like the guy showed up to work every day and he laid it on the line. And to me, that's all that really matters. Regardless of what a guy wants to do with his time, he can say and do and be whatever he wants. And in hockey, like George just spoke on it, like there's just a culture in hockey where you don't say things. You don't talk about injuries. You don't talk about feelings. You don't talk about anything. And you know, you don't talk about this guy and nothing leaves the room. And that's why, you know, hockey is so far behind every other sport because there's no personality allowed. And that's the way the management controls it. And that's the way the culture is of hockey. And it's, to me, it's really unfortunate because there's so many funny, interesting guys in hockey that would blow people's socks off if they told some stories and they told jokes and showed personality. And some guys that people would think, wow, this guy's a dud, he has no personality. He's a complete opposite because that's all he's known his whole life. And it's just, hockey could be such a great sport. There's such good platforms with social media and everything, guys to just blow up their personalities now and just kind of run with it. And it's, the hockey culture just really shrinks it. And it's really, really sad. And I hope on this show, I can bring on some guys that are still playing and guys that used to play, and we can see some personality and show, you know, just how good and funny and interesting hockey players can really be. And that's how we're going to grow the brand. And that's how I want to grow this show, with interesting, real stories.
Yeah. It just, I don't know, man. You know, like I was a big PK fan. My wife was a PK fan. We loved watching Montreal. Like, I mean, we loved it. And we love those low fives, the one that George talked. I would get pumped up when they would win. And I got into the game. I was so excited when that stuff happened, and my wife would get so excited too. And then I'm hearing all this stuff where it's kind of like, okay, the guy had to fight for his contract. He told everything that was wrong with him. The only reason that I guess that didn't have to end in such a way was because the owner got stepped in because the fans were upset and they wanted to keep him. Then you're saying that, hey, there was some friction between him and another player. It was insinuated, guys, you know what, do your best not to be the same type of character that he is, right or wrong. Maybe the Canadiens just weren't ready for a PK Subban in 2014. Maybe they weren't, right? And maybe, I don't know, if it's revisionist history, and that's the hard thing. You can always go back in time and say, what if? Like, what if PK was the captain? Would it have changed anything? Would it have allowed Max Pacioretty to be, just the guy who's a beast getting goals and not worrying about anything else, and let PK handle the media? Like, what else could PK have done for the city and for the organization if they all worked together? But there's absolutely a divide there, because you've got an athlete who made the largest donation, I think, in the NHL history, right? Especially for Montreal. And then you have an organization who does amazing things for the city. And how do they not work together? I don't get it.
I'm confused to this day, buddy. I'm so confused to this day. It doesn't make sense to me, man. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because, I still think about how good that team was, and we were so close to being a championship team, and for non-hockey related reasons, things kind of went off the wrong track, which is really disappointing.
Yeah. We're taking your questions right now. So if you have a question, please comment in the Twitter box, comment in the YouTube box, send us a tweet, email. We're going to chit chat with Dale, and we're going to chit chat with George right now. George, if you don't mind sticking around for a few more minutes, this is a fascinating conversation, man. This is great. Doubt. I love this. And by the way, promote your show that you have. I know you're on radio in Montreal, and I know people love what you do. So please tell us where everybody can hear you every day.
Yeah, well, it's in French, though. I've for 5 years now, my own radio show, 91.9 FM. It's from noon till 3 every day. But, I do so many things that it's just easy to follow me on my website, joshrock.com, and everything I do is on there. And actually, I own a store, a memorabilia store, Dale. Sport cards and stuff. This is a huge business. I own my own sports card.
No way.
Yo, man, that business.
George, you got to bring it back for sports cards, bud.
That business is bigger than the hockey business. It's a billions of dollar industry, man, that business and stuff. And man, we're making a killing with this. It's unbelievable. We're selling and buying sports card of all kinds. I go to people's home every day buying lots of cards. Like, it's insane. Yeah. I know so much about the hobby business. I've been collecting since I'm 13 years old. And it's a fascinating business, man.
Fast fact for everyone watching tonight, we were doing some prep for the show. Dale did not know what his rookie card was. He didn't know what the manufacturer was, what his official rookie card was. We're going to bring that up on a future show, but George, it's not a young gun. Okay. It's not a young gun.
Okay.
We'll talk that in future one. Okay, let's get to the questions. We got these guys for a limited period of time tonight.
Yeah. So James, you grab some of the questions that you see out there from before and from now, and then we'll go through them right now. So on screen, we have a question from John. Favorite moment playing for the Habs, and that's a question for each of you. We'll start off with our guest, George. Favorite moment playing for the Montreal Canadiens.
My first goal that I scored, and the goal I scored with the Montreal Canadiens, because that goal came after the first game I played after the earthquake in Haiti happened. I remember praying God that I would score that game so I could dedicate this goal to all the Haitian people that live in Montreal that lost someone that they knew in Haiti. And when I scored that game, it was against Dallas. That first game we played, there was a moment of silence for all the loss that everybody had in Haiti. And man, the goal emotionally was what it meant, and the puck that I still had for the goal, what it represented, and what I was able to dedicate it for me was my strongest moment that I had with the team.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty meaningful. That's awesome. Dale, for you?
Yeah, that was man, that was a lot more meaningful than mine, but
we can't talk that now.
My favorite moment, Probably my overtime goal against Tampa. That was my first playoff goal. First game of the playoffs. I didn't even know if I was going to be in the lineup that night. So to come in and score a big goal like that kept me in the lineup, so I could kind of go on a roll there. So definitely, that was my favorite moment.
And then you went to Bergevin. Get out your checkbook, buddy. Get out your checkbook.
You know what? Story on that, actually. We were negotiating early in the 2016, kind of negotiating. And I had a hat trick against Calgary, and I came on the bus, and I actually told him to pull out his checkbook. I felt pretty good about myself.
Oh, the Dutch Gretzky. I love it.
Like 6 goals and 8 or 9. I was so pumped.
Okay, so we got a question from Odd Candice.
Let's paraphrase this one. Basically, what does it mean to wear the CH? What do you feel differently? How do you feel differently wearing that jersey amongst all the beautiful sweaters in the NHL? What does it mean to wear that particular jersey? What feelings does it give you guys?
Good question. George, you first.
Well, yeah, wearing the CH like Canadians with the history of this team, like the richest history of all team in the NHL. Anywhere you play with the Montreal Canadiens on the road, sometimes it felt that you were at home. There's some building that had a hard time to fill up, but when we showed up, it was full. And some building, it was half and half the fans that were cheer for the team. That tells you something about the history of that team and stuff. So it was special to play for the Montreal Canadiens, and we felt it through the fans that were there, true believers of the Habs, and that every building that we're playing in, there was tons of them that were cheering for us.
Even in Toronto.
Sorry, Dale, putting on that CH sweater versus you play for the Rangers, the Canucks, Flyers. Those are some great teams too. I mean, what was it like putting on the CH?
Yeah, to me, none of them really compared to Montreal. Like George said, it was different. It was just different. You felt the fan base, you felt the energy. Obviously, home games to me at the Bell Center were like no other building. Like Tuesday games felt like playoff games everywhere else. So it's, you go on the road and I remember Western Canada trips. I think someone just posted a question on there. I think it was Garth. You're in Vancouver and it's like half the building's Montreal, and you're in Edmonton and, you score on the road and it almost sounds louder than the home team. Or you go down to Arizona and there's like 100 Arizona fans and then like 7,000 Montreal fans. And it's just insane. There's no fan base like it. It's so, Montreal is such a recognized franchise internationally. Yeah. Even if people don't know hockey, they know the Montreal Canadiens, and there's just nothing like it. It's just really, really special. And, definitely was my favorite place.
You want to talk about the Battle of Alberta? Each of you, we were talking before we got on air, you have one thing in common with both of you. You both scored a hat trick. And on top of that, and the funniest thing, this was Laraque scored a hat trick. It was great because how many tough guys score a hat trick? I mean, it's very rare, and it was a beautiful hat trick, by the way. And Dale's hat trick was gorgeous too. But you each scored a hat trick in Alberta. That's another thing. You scored yours in Edmonton. He scored his in Calgary.
That's awesome. But actually, did you also fight when you got your hat trick? Because I did.
No way. No way.
Yeah. He's up with this game up. I love it.
I thought Steve McKenna is against the LA Kings. So a Laraque hat trick is a fight and a hat trick.
You and Gordie Howe, yeah.
And then you fought after?
Yeah. I had one goal I fought, and I scored 2 other goals after that.
Oh, man. Wow. What a night.
That's awesome. Okay, so from Florence asks, is there a player right now with the Habs that has a funny personality like Subban, young player or veteran? So either of you can answer this for your time. Guess first.
You know what?
I don't think so, but Dale, you could.
I don't know if you look around the league, like how many personalities are like PK. There's just so rare in hockey. It's so rare.
There's none around the league. There's none around the league. There's none.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Oh man, a fan could answer that question.
Yeah.
You can.
None.
Well, I'm sure there's personalities in the locker room we don't see, right?
But just look at the guys when they do interview. They don't want to be there. They don't want to. They don't have a presence. They're short as they can. There's none. There's only one PK. There's nobody.
There's so many guys that like dread doing post-game interviews. Like, they're battling the PR guy. They're like, hey, you got to talk today. Like, no, I'm not talking today. Like, it's
that is true.
Like, numerous guys they don't want to do it. They don't want to talk. They don't want their face on TV. They don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Jen writes in, do you have any pregame rituals or superstition as behaviors? Ooh, this is the big one that every hockey player has. What is it? Sidney Crosby has a jock that he hasn't changed in 20 years or something?
No, actually.
Do not want to be the equipment manager?
Actually, I know what Sid. Sid got his stick down by the trainers all the time. He put them in the stall before the game. You can't touch them. So little things like this. Me, I would show up to the game 4 hours before every game. 4 hours to show up, even before the trainers. 4 hours there.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I'd go in a cold tub and I would meditate for like 15 minutes. I would meditate to calm myself down, knowing that I might get into a fight. Calm down. And the reason I came 4 hours before, I didn't want nobody there when I was doing it. So I needed calmness. That's what I would do. So I take a cab and I only nap half hour before the game.
Yeah.
Because psychology, you heard that phase 1 half hour, it's a power nap. Some guys nap 2-3 hours, and in phase 3 of sleeping is too much. So little things like this, and I would cab go right back to the rink.
Wow. So like some fans don't know, like if you're in LA or something, you finish a morning skate, by the time you get out of there, you're at 12:15, and then if it takes a while, you barely have any time. It's like, go back to the hotel, pack your bag, and go back to the rink.
That's right. That's right.
4 hours. I think the earliest I've ever heard is like 3:15. Shea Weber used to go really early, but 4 hours. That's wild.
Yeah.
What about you, Dale?
Yeah, I had a ton when I was younger. I had a lot of superstitions, and then as my career went on, I kind of just realized I had to cut down a few because it was kind of like, I was getting too wrapped up in it, and it was almost too much effort to do it. So I'd take my sticks the same way. I would try to eat the same things. I would nap like probably an hour and a half. That was probably my good nap time if I could get it in. And then, nothing really crazy. Nothing outside of that. I would mix it up from time to time when things were going good, but I didn't have the same consistency with it.
Wow. And before we get to Nicholas's question, when you guys stop playing, or you retire, or you just take a season off, at this point, is napping and sleeping during the day, is that something really difficult to adjust to? No.
To come back into napping, like after you take time?
You're doing it every day, pretty much, right? Like you're on this schedule of wake up in the morning, eat, you nap before a game. Like that's got to be difficult to pick up and stop, especially in the summers and everything. I've always wondered that.
I don't know about you, Dale, but when I was done, I didn't nap anymore. Not because you're gonna play a game, you're gonna play your heart out. It's totally different. That working out regimen that you do now that you're done. I don't nap anymore. I don't.
Yeah, you guys have kids. I mean, you can't just take a nap.
And that doesn't happen very often with 4 kids.
No,
he's got 4, and that's another thing you guys have in common. And
you got 4 kids?
No. He's got paternal, and same exact thing, boy and a girl. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow,
yeah.
That's awesome. How old are you? 12. Well, they're going to be 12 in March 30th.
Oh, unreal. Yeah, mine will be 2 next month.
Congrats. Awesome, man.
Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's awesome. Next question. Are you guys forced to talk? We're talking about the media. Are you guys forced to talk to the media before games or after? So you mentioned before about the PR dude and PR people coming in and saying, okay. Yeah.
Well, we're not. It's not that we're forced, but often after the game, we rush to a change room because we don't want to see the media. And the PR guy comes and brings some guys out. They said they really want to talk to you guys. Or they'll say, guys, we need somebody to talk to the media because nobody pretty much after the game wants to do it. I loved it. I stayed there. Sometimes I stayed there so much. They're like, we've talked enough about him. Even though I was the only guy left, it's like, just come see me. They're like, not again. But most guys, as Dale said, they bolt out of there. They don't want to talk.
Wow. You would think in 2021 with this personal brand building and everything that people want to do after hockey careers, they wouldn't just be mugging for the camera all the time. Just get that time.
Yeah, but it's so different though. Like when you're a hockey player, I know for probably the first like 5, 6, 7 years of my career, I was thinking about being a hockey player. I wasn't thinking about branding myself outside. It was I Twitter was just coming in, and then social media is obviously a little bigger now with the players, and I think I don't know if guys understand how much they really are a personal brand and how much they can grow that channel now, because that's definitely something I wish I did a little bit before. But you're so focused on being a hockey player and not trying to get caught on social media.
Let's see if George remembers who signed him up for Facebook and Twitter. I don't know if he remembers or not.
Who's what?
Who signed you up for Facebook and Twitter?
Oh, that's you. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah. See, I signed him up, and we're gonna be like, he's like, I'll never forget it. He goes, what's Facebook? And I'm like, get Big GL.
Yeah, and your Twitter. How many followers do you have on Twitter now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like 240, I think now. But,
you're over 300,000, I think.
No, 240, 220 or something like that. But it's just that with all the business and all this, when you do Battle of the Blades, and I did so many things, when you do a lot of things engaging with fans, it grows your fan base slowly and stuff. But when in my career, social media wasn't as big as when Dale started. When Dell started it, man, every social media became so powerful that everybody was on it. So when you came and talked to me about it, Aaron, is in 2010 when I was released and I started doing Battle of the Blades and stuff. That's really when everything took off, and the interaction with the media was through social media, and then exploded. And that was really the time that people start looking after the page and stuff.
Well, George, listen, I appreciate you coming on the show for so long. It's been awesome. You've given amazing insights on yourself, on the Montreal Canadiens, on PK Subban. This has been awesome. And you and I go back over 12 years now, and I love you, and I appreciate you coming on. It's been a treat. And to see the dialogue between you and Dale, I mean, this is like, it's like you guys never played together, but it's like you guys are in the locker room right now.
Yeah, but you know what? Every time you guys are going to have former players to talk with Dale, it's always going to be like this. It's almost like family. Every guys that play together, when we interact, there's stuff that we share, we talk about, that is camaraderie, that is always going to be there, and it's awesome. And you'll see, like, it's always going to be magical like that, because I know what he's been through, all the stuff that he's been. We have so much respect for guys that play the game, and it was just awesome to be there with you guys and with you, Dale, in your premiere in your show, and man, it's going to be awesome. You guys are going to be doing awesome stuff. You're an entertaining guy, and good luck in the future in your show.
George, I got one challenge for you before you leave. You got to get this card, okay? As many as you can collect.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, George, thank you so much, man. I truly, truly appreciate you coming on. I can't think of a better guy that could have came on for the first show here. You're such a, again, a big personality in Montreal, and I've always been such a big fan of you. So I truly appreciate you coming on, and I know the fans probably had a great time having you, man. So thank you very much, and hopefully we get you back on again soon.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, buddy.
Guys.
Buddy, good night.
That's George Laraque. That was cool, man. He's
man.
You know what they say? They say the fighters and the fourth liners. I don't want to say. I hate saying fourth liners. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But fighters and the non-superstars are always like the nicest people. Just it just shows you right there, right? Like,
what an amazing guy. Like, he could have came on and talked for 20 and 30 minutes and kind of gassed us, but that was awesome. What
he came early, actually. Everyone should know that he was actually on the in the green room like before we even went live. So
wow.
He was ready to rock.
He was on for over an hour. I told him it would be 15 minutes.
I know. I was wondering if you told him the time of how long we were going to get him on or something, because that was like,
I love the guy.
Man, what a great guy.
Great dude. And you know what? So much insight when it comes down to PK Subban. I'm gonna still try to dissect this as it comes in. And on top of that too, James, more questions. I want to bring someone on from the chat. Email us so we can get you on the air right now. Perfect. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. We're on live on YouTube. Email us. It's put the email up when you have a chance, please. Yep. It is habstonight@gmail.com, and then we'll get you on the air just like we did with George. You don't have to go on video if you don't want to. You can just be audio, no problem, or send us another question. This is really good. So let's get back to PK Subban here. So we got a lot of good stuff out of that conversation. We've got someone who is won the Norris Trophy. Okay, best defenseman in the NHL. You've already said that. You know what? You can kind of see a divide between management and him. We see that going on right now. Okay, new players are coming out. New players are coming into the team. The coaching staff and the general manager are pretty much saying, hey, you know what? Welcome to the team. Just try not to stick around on that side because, you know, he's an elite talent, but also he's, a little bit personable, right? Like maybe that's not the best influence. In my opinion, that's probably what they're trying to say. You know, like, you know, we want you to focus all your energy into hockey rather than into what he's doing for his brand, right? Am I getting close here?
1 minute bathroom break here. I'm so hydrated.
You do your thing.
Sorry.
You do your thing. Hey, listen, first showing
live television.
You've got to go to the bathroom. If you don't go to the bathroom in the first show, you get a problem, right? I have a bag beside me that I've been using several times now. So no, I'm just not. Once again, Habs Tonight is a very unique, interactive show where you, the fans, get to literally ask Dale anything. And as you saw before with Dale and George, Dale is an open book. The stuff that we've already learned so far is fascinating. And, you know, even from George, getting the insight of, you know, PK going to Haiti with him, seeing what the devastation with that earthquake, coming back to Montreal a couple of years later, and then donating, you know, making that massive donation towards that hospital, I think is something very special. And even to that, when he was traded, you know, and I'll make no bones about this, I'm a fan of PK Subban. I'm an absolute fan. When he got traded, he went to Nashville. They loved him there, and he still never gave up on the city of Montreal. He still came back. He still promoted the hospital. He still did stuff. To me, that's just something special. A lot of athletes don't do that. That's why I look at PK Subban as more than just a hockey player. Like, he is a personality, and you're right, Dale. You know, who else can you think that is similar to PK? You really can't. There's really, you know, like, you guys are very similar. I mean, I don't know PK very well. I don't know him at all, actually. But you know what? Knowing you know, the way that your mannerisms are, the way that I can see how you guys would have connected right off the bat, because you guys are funny, right? Like, you just have that kind of personality.
Yeah. I mean, we hit it off right away. Like I said, we were literally like, I literally felt like I knew him my whole life. And that's kind of how PK interacted with everybody. But, you know, we just had so much fun together. He's not only did I have my most fun when I was playing in those years with Montreal, I think he was a big part of that too, because we literally just had so much fun every day. And you know, going through a contract year in 2016 for me, which was, you know, my first real year where things were going really well. And, you know, I didn't know if I was going to resign, if I was going to get traded. He was a really nice sounding board to have for me there, you know, when things were going really good at the start of the year, and then, you know, slumped a little bit and then came back and started to play well. He was just a really good sounding board for me. And, you know, like you, I'm a huge PK Subban fan. And, you know, regardless of how everyone feels that, you know, how that trade worked out, I'm just a huge advocate of what he's done off the ice too. I think he brings so much to the city for what he did, and he brings so much to the hockey culture that I think hockey is starving for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you never really answered the question before. I mean, I insinuated it. Let's ask it. Okay. Who in the locker room do you think that he had a little bit of friction with, or someone had friction with him? Right. And like I said, I want to preface this as not going at people. I want to make sure, like, listen, everybody has a job. Like, I have a full-time job. James does. We all work. Sometimes you work in an environment where, you know, you just don't get along with someone, but you do the job. Right. And that's just life. So I don't see how that is any different when you're in a locker room and you're an independent contractor working for an organization in the National Hockey League. It's just a job. And sometimes that environment, you work out very well with someone. Sometimes you don't. So were the rumors true? Was it certain individuals that didn't like him? Because we all heard about the rumors on radio. We all heard about him going up to Max Pacioretty and hugging him. I mean, he tried to make it not obvious, but it became very obvious.
For sure. I think everybody has mentioned it and talked about it, and maybe not at great length, and maybe not in the detail that I can kind of provide from an insight. Obviously, him and Max didn't see eye to eye as teammates. I wouldn't say they didn't see eye to eye as people, because like you just mentioned, you have a job, you go to the rink for 2-3 hours, and then you're a human being after that, which I think some people forget. And as teammates, they just didn't see eye to eye for, whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, they came up in the organization together. I believe they were both second-round draft picks. They played in the minors together, and they played a long time. I heard stories that they went to each other's weddings and stuff. So it wasn't it wasn't a personal thing that people seem to make it out to. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, and as teammates, they didn't see eye to eye, and PK didn't hold any animosity towards Max. And I think when you look at the way Montreal handled their team, if you're coming into a game and something happens and you want to get an answer after the game in the dressing room, and this is just my opinion, I think the captain, you ask, that's where you start. That's normally where the media guys, hey, captain has to answer questions. If no one's going to answer it, the captain does. And, if there was PK Subban standing there or Max Pacioretty, the media's, would direct themselves to PK Subban. And I don't know if that bothered Max. I don't know if, maybe he wanted to answer the questions. I don't know. I'm not going to pick into his brain on what it was. I just know, there was some tension there. And I think as teammates, you could feel the tension. That was obvious. And I think that's ultimately one of the big reasons that led to, okay, here we are going down the road, and we have to move one guy. And, after 2 years, they moved both of them. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, was there a moment, like, can you recall something that the public never saw where, I'm not going to ask you to say what happened, but like where you felt uncomfortable, where as a player, you're like, okay, guys, I get it. Like anybody, like, brothers and sisters fight, and parents are kind of like, okay, guys, relax. You're embarrassing mom and dad. Okay. This is Boston pizza. Chill out. Okay. Like it happens to all of us. Right. So I'm trying to put it in that frame. Like, was there ever a moment where you felt like, okay, guys, I get it. You're both competitive or whatever your issue is, but like chill, because it's making everybody kind of a little bit creeped out at this point.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably one time that I can really think of where I don't even know if it was a post game or when it was, but we were on the plane and they were having an exchange. And look, we have 23 guys on a hockey team. Yeah. Guys give it to each other pretty good. It happens, like you said. There's brothers and sisters. There's always guys say something and someone takes it too far, and then it gets serious, and then guys laugh about it. That's hockey. That's a team. That's not hockey. That's life. I'm sure wherever you guys work, you get in arguments with people. I think getting in arguments is healthy. So that being said, there was one time where they were going at it, pretty good, giving it back to each other, and it was kind of joking at first, and then I think Patch said something back to Subi that was pretty. I don't really remember what the comment was. I just know it was a really cutthroat comment.
Took it to the next level.
And it went silent. And I've never heard a plane go silent, and everybody was like, didn't know what to say or what was going to happen next, and it got awkward. It got awkward, like any brother and sister that fight. But that time for sure, I can remember that was intense.
Wow.
We got people from the interwebs.
Okay, James.
Interact. So
Producer James. So this show's all about interaction. Once again, people want to talk to the Dutch Gretzky. Evan, welcome.
Evan, what's your question, my friend?
Okay, Dale. How did it feel about playing for the Montreal Canadiens? And I hope you guys are staying safe during this pandemic. Go Habs, go baby, all the way.
Hey, Evan, I love the jersey. Thanks, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that.
Awesome, brother. You stay safe too, by the way. Just let you know, we're all thinking about everybody to stay safe.
Absolutely, Evan. That's awesome, man. What a beauty.
That's So what was his question?
No, I mean, we touched on it tonight, but just how was it playing for the Habs? I mean, what did it mean to you? I mean, with maybe someone wasn't here earlier in the show, but just a little bit about wearing that sweater again, just real quick.
Yeah, I mean, wearing the Montreal sweater was everything for me. It was awesome. You know, you grew up being a Montreal Canadiens fan. You watch Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night, Montreal versus Toronto, and getting a chance to put that jersey on and playing in the NHL was a dream come true for me. There's just no feeling like it to walk out on the Bell Center on a Saturday night. It was the greatest feeling. It's something you can't replicate in any aspect of your life. Just that rush you get. You know, minus listening to the intro of this show, that's the closest I got.
Awesome.
All right, Justin.
We got okay, perfect. Well, that was so Evan. So hold on, Evan will go down as our first caller / video chatter on the show's history. So Evan, you just made history, my friend, and be safe and hope your family is being safe as well. Who do we have next, James?
Justin Alari. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good,
Justin. Awesome. Oh, look at the Price jersey back there. Oh, that looks good.
Man, hold on. I've got more.
Oh boy, look at this.
I've got. Oh man, I'm in my Habs cave. It's a little bit of a mess right now, but I've even got a piece from the Bell Center here. It's of Shazi.
Oh, Shazi.
Yeah. Well, my aunt ended up winning the 1909 fan club fan cave from a couple of years ago. So she ended up getting that piece that wasn't really part of it. They were going to toss it away because there was a small nick in the corner.
Yeah.
So she ended up giving it to me, and then I just got my basement finished recently. So I hung it up, and another thing too. Back to PK. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Low five. I love it.
There you go. So I'm in Kingston, Ontario. So of course I got a few ties to the Muller family. Well, I know the Muller family a little bit, but I actually have a question about Pricey. Actually, I have a couple questions related to Pricey. So, what's the mood like in the room when Pricey is frustrated or angry? I remember seeing one time on what was it called? You're talking about there on RDS, the 24/8. Yeah. I remember seeing him once throwing his mask in the locker stall. And so what's the mood like when he gets frustrated like that?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. My time there, I didn't see it a lot. He's such an even keel guy. For him to be upset, he cares a ton. So he was frustrated. I've seen him break sticks in practice, and like you said, he throws his helmet. But he's so even keel, and that's what makes him so good because he can reset so fast. But when he gets like that, I don't think anybody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to look at him. You don't want to make eye contact. You're just like, "Ooh, I'm just going to stay over here," and you just let him do his thing because you don't want to be a part of it. Let him get his front because you know he's coming back harder.
I know, like for myself, I'm a goalie too, so I really do look up to him a lot as an individual. Like, heck, I mean, even check out what I got done there.
Oh, look at that!
Wow.
Hold on, I'm going to go full screen on Justin here. We're going to see that a little bit.
Yeah, make this big. Okay, let's see that again.
Screen, there we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that tattoo is 3 weeks old. So that was done on Hockey Day in Canada. It was done out in Belleville. So of course, homes of Shazi. I met Pricey on a few occasions. I was actually really impressed with how he was with my daughter. It was during the blood drive, actually, a couple of years ago. I went down and we came down from Kingston, Ontario for the day. We saw Pricey, and of course, my daughter was 3 at the time. My son was just born just like around a month earlier, prematurely. So I mean, we did go down for the day. Of course, my daughter's wearing her Price jersey, and my wife turns to me and she's like, "I don't want to ask Pricey to sign it because I want my daughter to still wear it." So he comes around, he gets down to her level. And, she's hiding behind my wife's leg and because she's very shy. And then he turns his back to her and points to his name and number on the back. And then she just starts opening up to him. And then, he just, I don't know, he just had that really big impact on her. And then he turns to me and my wife and he's like, "Do you want me to sign her jersey?" And my wife's like, "Yeah, that would be awesome." So Pricey was really nice. He signed my jersey as well, as you can see in the back there. And now it comes to my next question, actually. The Montreal media, I noticed, like, in the past days have been really harsh on Carey. And I get, like, he's struggled and everything. The one I'd say there's a couple people in the media that I just cringe when I hear their voice. One of them is Tony Marinaro. You know, he's got quite a big opinion on Carey. Now, every time I hear this guy talk, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I just personally can't stand it. But I don't know. I just want to know what you think about that. And also, I saw Pat Hickey's comment about how he thought he didn't understand how a goalie coach could affect a goalie's play.
Great question.
Yeah, so I don't follow a lot of the Montreal media guys for that reason alone. I am the biggest non-supporter of mainstream media. That is why I wanted to start this show, so we can have real conversations, tell the truth, and put a positive spin on things. Because to me, I just have no time for guys that shit on a guy like Carey Price, who has been outstanding, an amazing person. You tell stories like that, and that is the stuff that I love. And people take that to the next level where he's a shitty goalie, so he's a shitty person. And that really pisses me off because, you know, it's such a fine line between you're a hockey player and then you're a person after that, man. So I just get so frustrated when media make comments like that.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, like yeah, as a fan too, seeing all that stuff makes me cringe too. And, you know, like I said, I play net too. So of course, like, you know, sometimes we're not going to be on our game, but at the same time too, like it's you know, it's right. Unnecessary, right? I know like the Montreal media and the fan bases, sometimes it's just, there's a lot of influence in it. And it's just, I just don't think there's a place in it.
You know, people, I shouldn't say all people, but a lot of people seem to think because hockey players make X amount of dollars that they're not allowed to have a bad day. They're not allowed to be human.
Exactly.
You have to be on every single day. And yeah, like, you know, that is professional sports. You have to be on every day, but there's some days you don't have it. And you know, you play goal, you go out. Some days you're like, holy shit, I was awful today. I didn't have it. And think about, you know, Carey Price is a human being. Hockey players are human beings. It happens. You have a bad day. And for fans to just shit on people like that, man, it's really frustrating. And as a player that's been there and heard people say those things, not that anybody's comments on Twitter ever affected. I didn't go in the game thinking, well, that John Doe 37 said I suck, so that's it. You know, my confidence is shattered. But, you know, that's stuff. It just adds up. And, you know, when you watch Carey's comments last week where he just sits there and he goes, I don't care. And people took that the wrong way. It's not that he doesn't care. That guy cares more than probably anybody I've ever played with. He just doesn't care to answer questions from bonehead guys that just are going to write the article the way they want anyways, regardless of what he says. And that to me is, it fires me up, man. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that.
Yeah. Okay. Justin, we got time for two more questions, unless you want to. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for being the second ever.
Hey, Justin, thanks, man. Hope to see you next couple episodes. Be sure to tune in.
Love the ink, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take it easy.
All right, we got Sebastian coming on. Sebastian writes for Habs blog. He's up.
Hi.
Hey, Sebastian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So I write for a Habs blog called winninghabit.com.
I read it. Very nice. Good work.
Yeah. And Dale, so my question for you is really just regarding the three young centermen on the team. So Jake Evans, KK, and Suzuki. Like, what is your impression of them as like professional athletes, and also like off the ice and on the ice?
Yeah, great question, buddy. Thank you for coming on. Great jersey, by the way. Who you got on there?
Suzuki.
Oh, okay.
It's got Amadeus on the back.
Who's that?
Who's that Amadeus guy? I don't know. I actually have one. It's number 69. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my God. Jesus. Sorry, Sebastian. Yeah. So, you know what? Three guys that I've obviously spent a lot of time with. To me, I spent a lot of time with Jake Evans, the start of 2019 in the American League, and then at the end of the year, and then in this last year in the playoffs, I spent some time with him. I have a lot of respect for the kid. He's got a great attitude, and it's not easy to come in as a guy that was ripping up the American League last year and now sit on the fourth line. That's extremely hard. I don't think people understand how hard that really is, because you go from playing 20 minutes a night, and you come off, you have a sip of water, you're going back out there again. Where on the fourth line with TV timeouts in the NHL, And I haven't been tracking his minutes this season, but it's extremely hard to do that job. I think his ceiling is probably a really good third line center. I think he's a lot more offensively than he's showing right now, but he's also not getting a very good opportunity offensively. So you can't expect a fourth line center to score. He's been putting in some tough assignments. You're not playing a lot, but I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's got a lot of tools. He thinks the game good. I think he's a good centerman. I think he's a really good faceoff man for a young kid, and that's something you can always get better at. KK is a guy I really like. This kid. I really had a lot of fun with him in the dressing room. He's just got a really good attitude for playing in Montreal. I think it's going to be very important for him going forward that he has that attitude, that he can kind of let things roll off his back a little bit. He shoots the puck as good as anybody I've ever played with, and that's no joke. I've played with a lot of really good players, and I would say he shoots the puck as good as anybody, and he's 20 years old. He's so big. He's going to fill out and probably put on another 10, 15 pounds, and the kid's going to be a force. Once he kind of realizes how good he is, I don't think he understands how good he really is. As a young kid, you just waver, and the fact that he gets sent down and called back, that's tough as a young guy to adjust to. You kind of lose your confidence and kind of lose your way a little bit. So I got no problems with KK. I think once he gets a little time and develops and finds out and realizes how good he is, he's going to be a star. And the last one, Suzuki, is a pretty easy one to dissect. I'm really high on him. Just watching him in the play-ins, I just really liked how he took his game to another level. I saw him when I got called up in 2020 in January 1st, and I watched him play the 2.5 months there. I was really impressed. I thought, wow, this kid's going to be something. And then you see him in the summer just take it to another level, and was arguably our best forward in the play-ins. That says volumes for a kid that young again, to do that in the big moments. So I think the sky's the limit for him. Obviously, I think he has the highest ceiling of all three, and I think he's a #1 center for a long time for Montreal.
Great answer, Sebastian.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll see you next on the next show. That was a great question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian. Okay, and we've got hopefully I didn't get this wrong. I think we got Bobby coming up, talking Habs, adding to the stream right now.
Bobby,
isn't that Rick?
It's not Bobby. It's Rick.
There you go.
Sorry, Rick.
Sorry
about that. What up, Rick? Guys? All right, buddy.
What up, buddy?
So I got a question for you, Dale. I'm curious because you were talking about that you grew up being a Habs fan. So I'm just curious. My favorite Habs player of all time is Guy Lafleur. Who was your favorite Habs player when you were growing up, and did he have any influence in your becoming a hockey player and maybe the style you played and stuff?
Yeah, so I didn't really have anybody specific on Montreal. My dad was the biggest Montreal Canadiens fan, and I think, as any young kid growing up, you kind of like the same things your dad does. You want to be just like your dad. So
yeah,
I think watching the games with my dad, being a Habs fan, that kind of got me into it. There was nobody really specific that I could say really influenced me. My favorite player growing up was Keith Tkachuk. He played for the Winnipeg Jets. I just liked his style. He was a power forward. He fought, he hit, he scored. He kind of did everything for his team. So he was a kind of a guy that influenced me the most, I think. And that's kind of who I tried to pattern my game after.
Yeah, that makes sense because I could see that in your game. I don't like his kids, though. Honestly, I know they're good hockey players.
I don't like his kids either, but they're tremendous players.
They're good hockey players.
You hear the argument every day where they're saying, well, he has more skill than his dad, and I think people forget how skilled his dad was.
Yeah.
Era where he did a lot of other things, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he scored 50 goals one year, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
No, I think you're right. And the Tkachuks, at the end of the day, you love to hate them, but what would you give up to have them on your team right now?
Well, I was a Brady Tkachuk guy, like for the draft. I didn't know who Jesperi Kotkaniemi was at all, but I was a Brady Tkachuk guy then. But yeah, if he was on the team and we drafted him, I'd like him a lot more than I do right now. But yeah.
Who would you take, Matthew or Brady?
You know something? I think it would be Brady. I think he's a little bit bigger. He plays that power forward game. He gets under your skin. I have more exposure to him, I guess, maybe. So and that's the guy I wanted in the draft, so I'm going to go with that. But I don't like him right now at all.
And just to add in, Rick has got a very cool Habs live stream that he does where he it's the Talking Habs live stream. So during games, he goes on for 3 hours and he just watches the games and interacts with fellow streamers. So it's a great one. Congratulations on that, and people should search that out. Fun one to watch.
Put that out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And in fact,
Rick,
fact check, it was 95-96 that Keith Tkachuk had the 50 goals. Okay, in Winnipeg.
Awesome.
Yeah,
there you look at that.
Awesome.
Hey,
That's right.
The Winnipeg stuff that's coming out. I like that. That. There you go, Rick. You have yourself a wonderful night, brother.
You too, guys. Thanks, buddy.
Cool.
Good guy. I do watch his stream. We watched his stream one time. Yeah. Good show. It's been over 2 hours that we've been on air, so we're gonna have to relax a little bit because you know what? I think the team, from Anik to Brandon to Drew, someone's gonna have to go through and clip all these pieces up. I mean, we hit on bombshell topics tonight, like bombshell. If you've ever wondered about the PK Subban trade, I think we got answers tonight that will really kind of make people go, I get it. And the perspective that you brought to that, Dale, is amazing. And just want to let everybody know in the coming weeks, we'll be updating kind of maybe the show time to 8 o'clock, different days. If we're going to alternate, we're going to figure this whole thing out. It's our first show. This is our first show. Okay. We're having fun. This is great. Yeah. And get in touch with us. If you have topic ideas, tweet us, email us. You have all the information there. Dale is at your disposal. We're going to have so many guests on this show. There is not a topic that we will not touch. There's not a subject that Dale will not answer. He's promised to blow it up, as they say. Well, this is a great first show, guys. This is awesome. Do you have fun?
This was great. And again, thanks to you guys don't see the teammates, working behind the show here. We put in a lot of work the last couple of weeks. A ton of work that people don't see, tireless hours. And I'm opening up my phone and seeing 98 text messages in 15 minutes. There's a lot that's gone into it.
I tell my wife to stop texting you all the time.
This has been awesome, man. I'm so excited. The fans, everybody that tuned in, follow us on all media platforms. We'll be continuing to post stuff throughout the week. We'll clip some of this stuff. We'll have some new and exciting stuff for you, man. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and there's new shows coming out. So just to let everybody know, in the next coming days, we're going to have brand new segments. You'll meet some of the other team members of Habs Tonight. Once again, you're going to have Brandon. You're going to have Drew Deeks. You're going to have Anik. You're going to have James. Everybody's going to be doing segments and shows. This is just taking off. And if you have any interest, please, once again, email us, habstonight@gmail.com. This is fully interactive. The only way we're going to be successful is having the support from everybody out there watching. That's all we want to do. We just want to have a lot of fun. And this is great. Providing insight, man. This is a lot of fun tonight.
This is awesome.
I had a good time. And okay, I got to end with more fact check. One more fact check for you guys, because I put a picture up earlier with Fitz.
Yeah.
Okay. I was told, and again, this is how responsive we are to the fans. The guy he's fighting is Ryan Vanden Bush.
I went to school with him.
He was really cool.
I wonder who won that one. So if we get something wrong, we're not perfect.
No.
Or we miss a fact here and there. We're on the fly. We're live.
You're fans. If you can update us and fact check us, then hey, throw in the comments. We're happy to own up to it. This is an honest show.
Yeah. Oh, so thanks for the nice message there, Kevin, and beautiful picture with the little one there. Yeah, and okay, so you got, everybody has our all of our social media tags, our emails. Get in touch. We will post within the next day or two when our next show is going to be, and we will definitely have hopefully a guest on that program. George Laraque tonight was phenomenal. Was great. It was such a great conversation. And remember, I'm just going to say it. Everybody, stay positive. You're living in 2021. It's been a downer year and a bit. I get it. But be positive. You got a hockey team that's doing great. They got a new coach. They got a new system. They're playing much better. Carey Price is the best goalie in the world. When you watch him last night, oh, just phenomenal. Unfortunately, they didn't get the 2 points, but you should be really excited because that team played amazing, right? So that's it. So from Winnipeg and from Newmarket, Ontario, and from all the different spots with all of our different people that are involved in the program, we wish you a very healthy and happy couple of days, and we will speak to you everyone soon. Have a great night, everyone.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.